What is going on, everybody? Another episode of Verbal Garbage coming at you hot and live. Uh, we back. I know we've been gone for a little bit. For those of you who don't know me, day to day as a friend or whatever, I live in Southwest Florida area, North Fort Myers to be specific, and that old hurricane, baby, came by and you know really put a number on my parents' house where I currently reside. So we are currently displaced. We started off by going to my brother Kurt's house and his girlfriend Eva's house for riding out the storm there because let's try to start back. And I mean, this is going to be probably a little bit longer of a podcast because I got to cover the tornado or the hurricane stuff. Then I got to cover my little Philly sports weekend, where I'm at now, and what we can expect in the future. So yeah, the hurricane hit. I think it was a Wednesday. So let's go back on the calendar and look exactly when it was. It was a Wednesday night. I know that for sure. So I'm pretty sure it was the 28th of September. So, we were hearing about it the Thursday before, the Friday before, and I myself, I was getting a little nervous. I'm a little material girl living in a material world, so I got a lot of trinkets, a lot of hats, shoes, just a bunch of random shit, old video games I didn't want to lose. So, when it came time to Tuesday night, my mom and I were being pretty proactive. We were taking bags and bags of stuff and hauling them over to my brother's house, just try to save what we could. As far as like the clothes and stuff like that, we did end up making out pretty well because we were able to, like I said, her and I were we probably took 3 trips back and forth, loading up bags and totes and whatever the case may be. So on that end, we made out pretty well. We got about, I think, 30 inches of water in the house. So it was definitely one for the records. And unfortunately, you see these things on TV, you see them in the movies, and you never think you're gonna live through it. And then when it happens to you, man, it's just a wild experience. I'm just really feeling for my parents. My dad especially worked his whole life in New Jersey to provide for his family, and then wanted to set his sights on sunny Southwest Florida to retire in. And I would say he's had a great retirement. He's surrounded by family, surrounded by great weather. Uh, but you work your whole life to move down to a place and just in one day, it gets completely decimated. So my main focus is just trying to be like the Rock, if you will, not Black Adam Rock, but Freddie Bites Rock. Just trying to keep the mentality going, the spirits high, try to keep the humor at an all-time high to just keep the spirits up, because what can you do when you lose your home to a natural disaster? I mean, and my dad's been a little bit more on the negative side, the pessimistic side, and I understand it. You don't want to trust FEMA and the government to give everything back, but to me, if you carry a positive attitude and you look at everything happily and make the best out of it, I think you're going to come out of this better. And I've told him multiple times we could be in a way worse situation. Considering we have my sister who lives in Richmond, Virginia. I got two other sisters who live in New Jersey, and then my brother lives in Florida. And he was like a zone D as opposed to us in North Fort Myers. We were zone A. So that's where, the eye really centered on and hit. So it's been crazy. And, I tried to document as best I could the hurricane day to day to try to give you guys a little glimpse into the life of what was going on there with, if everyone knows me, I'm always washing my hands. I'm always trying to wash my face. I never go more than a day without a shower. So to be faced with the obstacles we were faced with was definitely an experience for me and something I certainly won't soon forget. But like I said, we started over there. After we brought all our luggage over, my mom was like, "You want to bring our cars to downtown Fort Myers parking garage?" I didn't really think too much of it, but we ended up doing it, and we were the only two people on our street that still have a working vehicle, me and my mom, because everybody else's car got destroyed. I mean, our neighborhood just looks like fucking Chirac. I mean, it is just a war zone. It is decimated. And I just, I took some time to kind of gather my thoughts and come on here. And, some people might maybe think I'm making like light out of a disaster. Well, yeah, of course I am. I'm going to be on here and try to make jokes and get back to normal life as soon as I can because you sit and you wallow in the misery and the pain and it just amplifies the hurt. So if you just, I don't know, like, I don't want to jump ahead, but it's just crazy. So yeah, me and my mom each took about 5 to 6 bags of Kurt's house. My dad didn't take any, unfortunately. He was just kind of wanted to ride it out in his house and not really move anything and didn't think the worst was going to happen. And What I personally think was a big issue is here in Florida about 4 or 5 years ago, we had that Hurricane Irma hit, and everyone was saying how big it was going to be. And, we ended up evacuating, going to Virginia. And long story short, it did end up being so big. So I think this time around, the elder statesmen were thinking, hey, it didn't hit before. It's not going to happen this time. And boy, were they wrong. And it's quite ironic looking back and seeing, I named the last episode I recorded was I thought hurricane season was over. Well, guys, hurricane season was in fact not over. Um, End of September, early October, it makes its landfall, and yeah, it was crazy. So I mean, let's go from there. From Tuesday night, we loaded up the cars, we did our thing. I think I watched the Bo Nickel fight that night, Tuesday night contender series, and watched him get signed to the UFC. And then from there, it's kind of a blur. I got my notes here to try to document it, but it's not going to be as accurate or as concise as I would like it. But it's just going to give you guys an idea. So around 5 a.m., I usually get up around 6:30 ish. My dad woke me up and was like, "Hey, we're gonna go," because we were thinking about a 12. That we were hearing a 12 to 18-foot storm surge. But just no chance we would be able to survive that. We have a one-story house. A lot of our other neighbors got 2 or 3 stories. So worst comes to worst, they get 24 to 36 inches or whatever the case may be of flood water. They can at least go up to the second floor and claim a little bit of shelter up there and be a little bit safer. But I mean, it was a nightmare. Our neighborhood runs on septic, so it's not just the salt water that's coming up. You're literally getting that human fecal waste. Like our neighbors across the street said they were in their house and when it was flooding, they just saw like mounds of poop. I mean, it's just seriously like that's why I want to come in here and tell you guys because it is really like it's just crazy what we lived through. And this is I think 2 or 3 weeks later now, and I'm starting to I don't know. I'm gonna be going back to work in 2 or 3 weeks, so just really find a sense of normalcy again. And yeah, granted, I'm not gonna be able to live in my home for probably a year or so, so I'm trying to find out where I'm gonna live. My parents might stay in Virginia with my sister, who's it's where I am right now, the nursery. As you can see, we got the little hello, my name is mommy. We got the pillow right here. She's expecting any day now, so exciting times for the family, but also bittersweet. Because we got all this other stuff going on, and what we were thinking was going to be a super happy time has turned into quite a stressful, agonizing time. But we're doing everything we can to move forward and get through it. Um, so let's start off on Wednesday. Like I said, we got over to Kurt Nevis around 5 a.m. That day we just kind of got there, just chilled all day. We were pretty much just waiting for the inevitable because we knew the storm was coming on Wednesday, and we're just sitting there waiting. At this time, unfortunately, what happened was Kurt was at work because anytime like the natural disasters comes in, all the first responders and everything have to be on call. So he was at work, and then we weren't really committing to going to his house. So his girlfriend had taken Jackson, the dog, and herself over to one of her friends' house. So now it's like, we're all separated, which is kind of the last thing we wanted to have, but it is what it is, right? So I think we stayed at their house, it was around 4:37 p.m. We lost the power finally. So having no idea when this was going to come back or anything. We're just sitting there, that Wednesday, that first day seemed like an eternity. You just start making do. You get the lanterns out, you get the candles out, and you ride it through. And Kurt's house didn't have any hurricane windows or hurricane doors, and we're facing up to between one in his area. I think it was between 125 and 140 for the winds. So we're sitting there, just talking at the table, and every time a wind gust, you see the doors flapping, the windows are flapping, like you're one false move away from having the windows blow in, a door blow in, the roof blowing off, and then you're just fucked. I mean, because the rain was falling, the wind, it was just so you're really just trying to be positive and think like, all right, we're gonna be fine. And you don't know. At one point, my mom and I went into the to the bathroom because it was just all surrounded by tile, no open doors or anything. And I got my Streamlight Siege, which is like a little lantern, with all the backup batteries and everything, so you can carry it around. Got 3 different modes, and then it's got a red mode for low power. So we were just putting that on the red mode, low power, just sitting in there. It kind of looked like we were having a seance, just smoking a little bit of the pen, getting a little bit of buzz on, just trying to ride it through. And nothing we do is going to help the effect, and nothing we say. So we're just praying that we're going to get through it all right. And I'm not trying to bore anyone, but it's just I just wanted to kind of get on here and do like an episode. I'll start doing the guest episodes again and such, but I'm just trying to remember how to even talk on camera now. And I feel like I was finally starting to get my footing. get stuff going, right? And then, you lose all your momentum, 2, 3 weeks off. Obviously, the house is gone, so the studio has been decimated. I was able to save some of the little trinkets, like my little snap-on garden gnome and such for the future studio when it's back up and running in a year. Hopefully, I'll still be recording by then and maybe have more than 10 listeners by then. So, yeah, we had the generator running, that night we fired the generator up, and I remember, like, I kinda took the reins, got it going, and that euphoric feeling of getting that generator going was amazing. And speaking of generators, it was definitely a little bit of a point of contention because, as long as we've been living down here, I've always razzed my dad, on not having a generator. How are you gonna live in Florida without a generator? Um, it's one of those, like, blessings in disguise, I guess it happens, where one of our neighbors unfortunately had passed away, and they had, like, a brand new generator that was never used. So we were able to claim that, take that as ours, and we got it literally like a week before the hurricane. And if we didn't have this thing, man, I don't know what the fuck we would have done, because it allowed us to, charge our phones, to have a light on at night when it was super dark, to keep the fridge and freezer inside and outside both running. That was virtually all we were using it for, powering both fridge and freezers, because I had a ton of red meat and pork chops and stuff that I had saved from my house that we brought over. Because I'm not, survivalist is a survivalist, but when it comes down to like eating canned meat and canned chicken and canned beans, I'm gonna have a rough time with that. So we had a grill with the propane tank. I was sauteing the pork chops. I was even one day, like I think it was the next day, which the Wednesday we wrote it out. Thursday, Eva and Jackson returned to the house around 9 a.m. So now we were all at least kind of together, which felt a lot better. And later in that afternoon, we had the generator going, and I plugged in the Instapot and did one of my go-to meals. So, other than the fact that you're living like without power, electricity, air, running water, man, that is the one thing I'll say, like, you take so for granted. And just like to give me an idea, like, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here because now let me hold that the running water thing. But yeah, so we got them over. We had the Instant Pot meal, the generator, it was absolutely beautiful. So we're just trying to survive each day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the generator. And we made it by, I think, a week. I think coming into the third or fourth day, we started really looking at options for showering, because like I said, it's never been more than, probably, I mean, I might be exaggerating, but 24 hours is kind of the limit with me as far as not washing the body. So I was forced to act, get that done. Eva and Kurt luckily have like a reverse osmosis system, so they've got a 300-gallon tank of water outside. So what we were doing is we were going out, we were turning the nozzle, filling up a Home Depot bucket, the 5-gallon bucket, put that in the shower, and then take a red Solo cup. So we would just fill up the Solo cups, dunk them into the Home Depot bucket, pour a little bit over your head at a time, rub a little soap on, rub it on. I mean, I was grateful we could shower, but I will admit, like, it was a major struggle. I remember one of the nights I tried to fucking shave my head with the Solo cup method, and that was an absolute fatality. Cut myself a few times. I still got a couple battle wounds lingering, so it's hat season right now for sure. It's just the running water. Like, I use an electric toothbrush, right? Like, how much of a mess that makes when you're using it, gets all in the handle. Like, we're using a bottle of water to brush our teeth with, so you're using the smallest little bit to rinse, and then at the end, your toothbrush is covered in soap, so you have to figure out a way to wash your hands. Meanwhile, washing the toothbrush off. I mean, the running water is everything. We would cook a meal here and there, and then to clean the dishes. Like, even I had a little method where I would get like a little garden bucket, and spritz a little bit at a time. She would scrub, spritz a little more, she would rinse. And I called it, we were like inmates, doing the dishes together. And we found a way, Fred's brain really came out to sprout and provided some good ideas. And, my brother always used to tell me I would never be able to survive in the wild. I think I really earned my keep over these last 2 weeks. And, like I talked about how we didn't have the generator. We had gotten that one for free, but it was a little bit smaller of a model. So I think about 6 days before the hurricane hit, I had ordered a big ass, like, $1,500 generator that ended up getting there like 3 days after the storm hit. Um, but still good to have. Uh, much more to go with the generators. I mean, there's a whole thing about that. But um, so we talked about how initially, we were doing the shower bucket with the 5-gallon, or excuse me, the shower with the 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, and then the Solo cup. And it was brutal. So I was trying to figure out what I could do to try something else, maybe to make it a little bit easier to clean and feel clean. So what I did was I got that green garden bucket that I was talking about doing the dishes with, and I would fill that up. And the problem with my mom and dad is that it would get a little heavier as opposed to a solo cup, so it'd be hard to kind of do it. But I got them fucking cannons on my arm, dog. So I was just, you know, dipping the bucket down on me, getting everything wet, then rubbing. You're just able to get more water at a time. And granted, I was still conserving the water because we didn't have an unlimited supply of running water. So I'm trying to conserve, but it just still felt a little bit more freeing doing it that way. Obviously I had saved my bongs. I got 3 bongs at home. I saved one of them, brought it over to Kurt's right away. Or never mind. Brought it over to I think I left it in the storage unit actually. And then the other two I had just left in the house, or excuse me, yeah, I left it in the house because when we were doing cleanups, like I wanted to have one when we were ripping out drywall and everything to be able to get high and give everyone a little bit of a relief. And the other one is still sitting in there to this day. And my mom actually just got a picture from the construction guys that it was safe and sound. So got to go rescue that one and find her a home. 3 is just too much when you're on the living out of bags like I've been. Just need really the basic essentials. Yeah, so I talked about, Saturday, that was the second time we showered because we went from Wednesday to Friday. No, Wednesday to Saturday. That was the first shower, was a Saturday. And I that's talked about doing the shaving of the head. It was really tough, not having my normal setup, not having my little brush in my mirror. So I had missed like a whole streak down the middle of my head. So I had like a little skinny mohawk. Thought about keeping it, but got rid of it right away. Um, just trying to remember, like it really everything is such a blur, but there's so many crazy little stories. Now I was trying to remember like the first Wednesday we lost power. We went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like I know for a fact I had no chance to watch the Eagles game. I had no access to it because that was a Jaguars game, right? It's just honestly, I hope you guys can forgive me because I'm trying to tell the stories, but it's like also, it's a little bit emotional what we went through, and then obviously just it's a blur. So I guess regardless of the fact, I'm just gonna go ahead with it. Like, either the first Sunday or the second Sunday. I can't really remember, and I want to say it was the second Sunday because if I can just pull up real quick the Eagles schedule and get an idea of the two, because I pretty sure I had missed 2 of their games during this whole thing, and I can't remember if it was the Redskins game or if it was the Jet. Like, so let's go. Where's my boy AJ Brown? Just trying to pull up the Eagles schedule real quick, guys, just so I can get an idea of the games that I might have missed to give me a little bit better idea. Okay, so it was Jacksonville and then Arizona. Um, Jacksonville game was the game we missed, and then Arizona was the game. No, fuck. Now I'm looking this up. I was like, I gotta get this right because I think we missed 2 of them, and the second one is where we ended up losing power or getting the power back that night of, and then our generator ended up breaking too. So it was it was something. I'm sorry for the dead air, but like I said, I'm just trying to figure out. All right, so October 2nd was the Jags game. So that was the game we missed. And the Cardinals game, October 9th, which okay. So we missed the first Sunday. We went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, which was the 9th, is when we ended up getting power back. So what we did on Sunday, we were like, some of our neighbors, like someone in Cape Coral, our friend Neil, he had a generator going and he was able to get his DirecTV powered up. I don't know how because he didn't have internet, but he was able to get the Eagles game going. So, me and my parents like, it would be kind of good for us to just get our minds away from it because all we were doing that whole week, and forgot to say that, shout out to all my buddies that came through to help and anyone who shot me a message offering their help. I really can't tell you guys how much that means to me. I mean, just to give you an idea of what I was dealing with, I have a dad who was just hell bent on not admitting that he's kind of past the age where he can really do the kind of labor that this was requiring. So I was nervous. You don't want to be the guy to ask for help. You don't want to be the guy playing the victim role of the tragedy and everything like that. But it got to the point where some people would reach out and say, "Hey, could you need any help?" And I would just say, "I'm good," because you don't want to help. And towards the end, a couple days in, people would say, "You need help?" I was like, "Yeah, here's my address." So I had, one guy who offered to help, kind of stood me up. The first day I was out there, so I was just out there with me and my mom, and that was a little bit disheartening because I was thinking, I was like, maybe He responded in like a big group chat, in my jujitsu group, and like, yeah, I'll be over to help. What's your address? Blah, blah, blah. And just never showed. So I kind of got discouraged on that. I'm like, am I gonna have to do this all alone? Because it was just, I mean, everything on our house had to be gutted pretty much. I had to throw out every mattress, every dresser, every nightstand, every couch, every ottoman, every chair. Like you name it, it had to get trashed. We ended up filling 3 full fucking waste management dumpsters. So it's quite the overall. So like I said, that first day kind of struck out, didn't really get any helpers there. Um, that was a Monday, I believe, and then that Tuesday, man, we had my mom's Trader Joe's crew really showed out. I think they had about 8 people come over. Then I had, I think, 2 of my buddies, and shout out to Jason and Jeremiah. I mean, without them 2, I wouldn't have been I would still be in Florida probably trying to rip out drywall and doing shit like that. So, they both said, it was no big deal and they're happy to help on all this, but they really have no idea how big of a help it was. And like I said, just the fact that I was able to prevent my dad from doing this and having me and a bunch of my buddies do it, it was huge. One of the days, it might have been a Thursday or a Friday, because Jason and Jeremiah were coming over every fucking day. And then one day I had them two, both of their daughters, my friend Cade, my friend John, my buddy Rob. Rob brought his kids. So it was amazing. We had tons of bodies there. We filled up a dumpster in like an hour. And my sister Jill, she's in Virginia. She feels helpless, like she wants to do something to help. And I tell them, like, all my sisters are calling, what can we do? Like, there's literally like the things we need are gas and food. And those are the things that are in the lowest supply and they're hardest to get. So my sister, took it upon herself to order, a bunch of Domino's pizzas, and we had like a little impromptu pizza party one of the days when we finished up, and that was good. And like I told these guys, we're going through a horrible situation, but for me, I got to be around 6 or 7 of my friends. We're doing manual labor. We're out in the sun. Like it was a really big day for me. Just being around positive people, having the laugh, having the fun, being able to joke, just being like myself every day. Because I was a little down in the dumps for the first couple of days, just worrying about, am I going to be able to work again? Like, I was fucking flinging toolboxes out right before the hurricane hit. I was really starting to catch a groove. So I was like, where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? And just a nightmare. And, you start seeing little blessings show up here and there. And so I talked about, that Tuesday when Trader Joe's people come over, we were talking about the bong. Like I had the bong out, I was smoking out Trader Joe's people, smoking out my buddies. We were playing music. It was just, it felt good again to just have fun, let it go, and just be distracted by company of other people who are there coming, volunteering to help. And it's a day where they could be at home relaxing or whatever, and they took the time out of their day to come over and help us who are in dire need of some help. So anybody that shot me a text message, whether it was some Snap-on customers of mine, some friends from New Jersey, like my buddy Brian and Maddie, my 2 best friends. I mean, literally for my whole entire, I've known these kids since I was 6 or 7 years old. And shout out to my buddy Brian, who's a new father. Congrats to you, bud. That's fucking amazing. Hoping the mom, Dana, is doing all good and the baby's healthy. And I can't wait to meet the baby girl one day. So yeah, I'm just trying to just show my appreciation for anybody who reached out with either condolences or offering to help, or you really don't know how much it means to me. And I think I took a little bit more time to get back on here and record because I didn't want to come on here and crying, because I'm a very emotional person, and that's why this has been a little bit more challenging for me personally. I'm not trying to make it into like a selfish thing, but my mom and I are very sensitive and emotional. My dad's not like that at all. Neither is my brother. So, I was just trying very hard because my mom, every time she was on the phone call or anytime she was talking to people, she would just start breaking down and crying. So I felt like it was my duty to not cry, to make her stronger. So, I had a couple times broken down alone where I was just thinking about feeling how sorry I was for my parents and thinking about my situation, and not ideal. So let's get back to that fateful Sunday. We were finally thinking, all right, we just worked our butt off for a full week, ripping out the whole entire house that we called home, which is, yeah, it was devastating, honestly. I mean, you're going through cabinets that were flooded by water, and you see photo albums in there that are, my parents' wedding photos, and me and my brother and my grandfather who has passed away, making apple cider in the poke, and just all these memories that you lose a t-shirt, or you lose a fucking pair of sweatpants, or an Eagles hat. You get over that. You can, even if you can't buy it again, it's something that technically could be replaced. When it's talking family heirlooms and photo albums and stuff like that, I mean, that's just, it got to the point where I was ripping out stuff and I had to get my dad. I was like, can you just go through the stuff? Like, I can't bear to keep looking at all these photos because it was making me very emotional. Um, so yeah, that Sunday, we're relaxing, baby. We're just gonna go over. We're gonna watch the Eagles game. We're not gonna think about the bullshit. We're just gonna enjoy it. Well, no, not gonna happen because we're getting ready to go over there around 1 o'clock. So I mean 12. The game's at 1 o'clock, so we're getting ready to leave the house around 12:30 ish. And what do you know? The generator that we had just gotten for free had broken. So now like, okay, we don't have a generator, but we have a fridge and a freezer inside and a fridge and a freezer outside, both stuffed with Kerrygold butter, cream cheese, the smoke, pork chops, fillets, sirloin, like all this meat that my brother had bought. And you guys remember that story buying the meat from the food truck. We still had so much of that meat left over. And I am someone I'm like I said, I don't want to be living off canned food. So I did whatever I could to save as much food, whether it be dry food or wet food, or my rubs, my seasonings, because cooking is still going to be something you need to do during this whole thing. So yeah, we're driving over. The generator broke, and then we're like, okay, do we still like? In my mind, the minute the generator broke, I didn't even want to watch football because I'm thinking the whole time, okay, how long? Because during this whole week we were running the generator in shifts. Most people run the generator until it runs out of gas. I had this like weird paranoia because I was never operating a generator before that we should do it in shifts. So like during that first week, what we would do is we would power it on, let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon to about 6 at night, leave it off for an hour or 2 hours, and put it back on from 8 to 12, and then turn it off from 12 to 3. And then I would wake up at 3:30, set an alarm for 3:30 in the morning, fire it back up till 7 or 8 a.m. And someone would wake up at 8 a.m. and fire it up. Like we were doing that. And then I don't know if that led to the generator prematurely crapping out or what the linchpin for that was, but yeah, I mean, that drive over going to watch football when I knew we had a broken generator and food spoiling, I felt honestly it was like the sickest I've ever felt in my life with the panic, the stress, the not knowing what we're gonna do. So I'm telling my mom, like, why don't we stop at a Lowe's or a Home Depot? So we're driving along, we see a Lowe's, they got a huge fucking line of people outside waiting to get in. And my mom, she's got a little bit of that Karen blood in her. What she does is she takes my dad's truck and like rides it all the way up to the shoulder into the entrance, puts the car in park, doesn't put the hazards on, right? And just walks in front of the entrance because she wanted to ask about the availability of generators. Instead of waiting in line for 30, 40, 50 minutes or an hour, because you know how they're doing it. They're letting one or two people in at a time. So she goes in, and the minute an employee sees her, just, miss, what do you stop? She just asked real quick, hey, do you guys have any generators? They say no. We knew it. So we're just like, fuck. So we drive probably a couple more miles. We see a Home Depot. We pull into their parking lot. And we knew it. They were sold out. So, we're driving by and we see this guy with a big trailer full of generators attached to his truck. And I was like, And I told my parents, like, pull over. Let's talk to him. So we're sitting out there yelling out the window, asking them what they are, how much, blah, blah, blah. And as we're talking, they got 2 or 3 cops coming over, nagging them to move out. And this is an issue I have. Like, okay, I get it. The guy selling the generators technically is operating and making money on the grounds of Home Depot of products that they sell. But this isn't a normal day, and you guys are fucking out of generators. So you're gonna try to prevent people from buying generators during a natural disaster, or this is really like the only bright spot you have is having a working generator during these times. Because, like I tell you, the minute ours broke, I can't tell you the shift in morale. We were all happy. We were making jokes. We were cooking food, refrigerating food. I had some donuts and panzerottis from Jersey, taking them out, putting them in an air fryer. I mean, you have these abilities to plug stuff in when you have the generator going. And the minute you lose that ability, I mean, shit. So that drive over, man, I can't tell you what the morale was like. It was gruesome. It was low. But Benny from Chicago, man, this guy was in his trailer. He got kicked out, so we drove across the street to an Advanced Auto Parts parking lot where nobody was there. They were obviously closed during the storm. So we go over, and the guy was there, man. I'm obviously riding around with my fanny pack, got my Glock 43 in there, the extra magazine in my pocket, because at these times I'm not really worried about like me being crazy, but you know how it is when these traffic lights aren't working and people are starting to run out of food and water. And like our situation, the minute your generator dies, you could argue that your food is starting to become in jeopardy. And that's where the desperation really starts to sink in. And, I don't want to start talking my life versus their life, but that's honestly like these doomsday preppers and everything. There's a reason they prep, and it's for situations, when the power grid gets compromised, and there's situations that you need to be navigated upon. And it's like, oh, well, if this family's got generator food and we don't, like, do we just sit here and die, or do we? I don't even want to think about that kind of scenario, but it's definitely something you got to be aware and prepared for. And I'm just happy that I had, flashlights with tons of batteries. I had two of my guns with tons of ammo, just in case. You never know. But I felt good knowing that if someone were to come into our home when my brother was working, I could be the means between us and survival, or the last stop between us and survival. You know what I mean? Because I knew we had what we needed. If people were going to try to step on our toes and take it, um, I was going to at least go down fighting. I'm not going to act like I would be, John Wick up in this bitch, but I'm definitely not going to go down without a fight. So yeah, we made up with this guy, and he's telling us this whole thing about how he just drove down from Chicago. He's got a buddy in the police union, and he just truly came down trying to help people. And at first you're thinking, oh, he's just trying to take advantage of people and rip people off during these times. But then you start talking to the guy, and I really did have a pretty good feeling about him. And the first thing I did was I Googled the generator. It had about a 10,000, or excuse me, a $1,050 price line on it. He was selling for about 1250. So to mark up for $200 for what he was doing, I really don't have a problem with that. I think I paid maybe 1,300 for it, whatever. But between, you know, me, my dad, my mom, Kurt and Eva, we have one generator. Even Kurt had one in their garage. It was completely kaput, didn't work. We got the one from free for our neighbor, like a hand-me-down that crapped out on us. So I was like, okay, now keep in mind, guys, buying this generator, I already had another fucking $1,500 generator on order getting ready to be delivered in 3 days. So now I'm about $2,800 in on generators, in the span of a couple days. And let's also keep in mind, I'm not working right now. So I got no money coming in. It's just, and this is why you save money, and you budget, and you be smart with money. And yeah, granted, I can budget a little bit more because I am fortunate enough to live with my parents. But when it come down to this, my dad was like, "Oh, I'll buy." I'm like, "Fuck that!" Like, I right away went up to the guy, did all the talking, I Venmoed him, I bought the air generator. Like, this is the kind of things you save your money for emergencies and disasters. And I'll be damned if my dad was going to try to buy a fucking generator over me when he's provided me shelter my whole life. And that's a big thing for me, is I'm just trying to show my appreciation, my gratitude to them for giving me all these years of amazing parenting and shelter. So that's why I was trying to recruit as many friends as I could to help minimize their workload and maximize mine and my friends. And like I said, guys, you really have no idea how much you mean to me and how much your help means. And I like to think if I was in New Jersey, we would have a similar, if not better, turnout for help, because I like to think I'm not trying to like braggadocious, but I always like to think I'm the type of person. I like to think I leave a positive mark on people with my humor and my pizzazz. I just try to go and have fun with everybody and make everybody laugh. And when these times comes down to it, you see people reaching out to you from work and stuff like that, and it just really makes you feel like people care about you, and that is a tremendous feeling. And if I wasn't faced with my situation, I know I'd be, because I was still texting a bunch of my really good friends down here in Florida, just seeing how they made out if they need any help. Unfortunately, I wasn't really in a position where I could offer much help because the workload I was faced with was, I mean, you almost wouldn't believe it until you saw it. And I don't know what I can really do here to try to show you guys. I'm gonna see if I can pull up on my phone real quick, just to show the flood video of when it happened, just so you guys can get an idea of the house that I live in, like kind of what we were faced with. As far as just the water levels, I mean, I don't know how well these pictures are gonna come out, but this is just a picture of my front yard with the trash in it. I mean, you can see it's just loaded. Yeah, I mean, it's just like that. That was pretty much one side of our yard right there, and you can't see it, but it's pocket doors, it's mattresses, it's couches, I mean, it's just everything you can imagine. And like I said, you just don't really ever think you're going to be faced with that kind of situation. I mean, my dad's pool that he's taken care of for all these years was a glistening light blue, fucking dookie brown. It's unbelievable, man. Here's one of the meals I cooked during the storm: a little sauteed apples and onions with a little bit of pork chops with a brown sugar glaze. And actually, I did some pineapples in there at the end. So here's that video, guys, I was talking about. Now, I know you're not going to be seeing it so well, but anyone who's going to watch on Spotify or YouTube, I mean, let's I'm trying to angle this so you guys can get a little better view on it without that ring light glare. But that's my dad's boat that was in our backyard. This is from my neighbor's second floor window. The boat was parked on the side of our yard, and this is it floating in front of the house, and you can see the water is literally like above the driveway there. I mean, it is just you can see it here, guys. I mean, that's the fucking house right there that we live in. So, I mean, what am I gonna do? Smile or cry, right? Like, let's just be positive about it. It's over now. It's my boy Jeremiah who was instrumental in the moving, man. So yeah, I mean, we got the generator because the whole time we were driving, I was like, I don't fucking, and here I am repping all my Eagles gear, fresh off an Eagles game that I was at, fucking 6-0 going to the bye. But here I am, I'm really telling my parents all the time, I was like, I don't want to watch football. Like watching football right now does just not seem right with what we're going through and the potential loss we could suffer with the generator not working and losing all of our meat. Like that's just not something I was willing to do. So got the generator, went home, fired it up, got everything back to normal. And yeah, we missed the fucking Eagles game, but I don't care. Um, it's such a sobering thought. So like we pretty much went 1 week with that generator, shit it out on us. Then we got the other generator that I knew I didn't need. Like I literally bought it just out of desperation because I already had another one coming. So luckily, Kurt and Eva were kind enough to Venmo me for that generator because they need one for their house. And you don't. People may not think you need a generator living in Florida. And so wait till this happens to you and you desperately need one, and you'll see. Like my God, like I will never be faced with not having at least one generator, most likely two for the future, because if something like this happens and it breaks, they're sold out everywhere. Like you're waiting in lines to get them. And meanwhile, I can't stress this enough. Like the food that you're trying to save in the fridge and freezer, that's got a shelf life on it, guys. I mean, more than 4, 5, 6 hours. Maybe you could argue a little bit more, or you have to cook it all at once. I mean, it's just a disaster, right? So we talked about, ripping all the sheetrock up, ripping everything up. I mean, we've had the FEMA guys coming out. My mom luckily just hired a private adjuster. And what those are for you, those of you who don't know, is, you're going to get FEMA and insurance companies coming out and telling you what's covered, what's not covered, what they're going to give you. They're obviously trying to give you as low as possible. And the reason the insurance companies are hiring these people to come out is because they're good at their job on giving you the lowest amount of money possible. The lower money they give out, the more, you know what I mean? It's a nasty circle, but it's unfortunate. A private adjuster is pretty much someone who's hired to go and fight for you. And I just think, talking to some knowledgeable people in New Jersey that I was just with over the weekend, it's really like it's a no brainer for this. They're going to take 10% commission, obviously, of what they collect, but that just shows how incentivized they are to collect more money for you and fight for you. And, my parents and I have never been through something like this. We don't have any experience on dealing with flood insurance, wind insurance, hurricane damage. So why not have people that literally this is their sole focus to fight for you and get more money? So, with all the negatives and such, there's positives to be found. You just gotta look and you just gotta keep that mentality. Um, so yeah, we talk about going in. There's so much going on, right? So I think um I think we ended up leaving for Friday for Virginia on a Friday. So the day before, food is starting to slowly get open. I went to Five Guys and got a little burger just for a sense of normalcy. And my God, they make a great burger, but name me a chain that attracts a dirtier clientele. I mean, you just look in these lines in front of you and behind you, and it is just farmland. I mean, I don't even know. Maybe it's just the area I live in and it's just greasy farmers. And I don't even know what, like, I had a couple that was just toe fungus delight. These overweight 70 plus year olds, in their little like matching shirts from like some island or some shit. And they both had sandals on with just these, and not for nothing. If you're gonna go pick up the burger and just eat it somewhere or whatever, fine. If you're gonna eat it in the restaurant and you got these nasty ass feet and you're open toeing it, like what are we doing, man? And every time I go to Five Guys, between the people that work there and the customers, I just feel like I'm subhuman when I go in there, and it's just not right because damn it, they make a good juicy burger, and I would like to continue to go there sometimes once in a while for a little treat, but my God, you just wonder like who's cooking this and what's in it. And is there toe fungus in the air? Are my onions, instead of doing a little sugar and vinegar, a little marinade like I do when I'm sauteing onions, are they doing like a little toe fungal sweat? Or I don't know, man. It just makes me nervous. But the burger was good. Um, yeah, we drove to Virginia, I think 3 a.m. We always like doing that to try to time the traffic right. So we get up at 3 a.m. I think we left. I got up around 2:30. I think we left the driveway around 3:15. Me and my mom and dad were doing rotations and driving. I probably drove the most, I think. And Freddie gas pedal, I was riding that gas pedal hard the whole time, trying to make good time. And I think it normally takes us about 14 hours to get there. We got to Virginia in 12 hours flat and got to her house in 13 hours, literally on the dot. So feeling pretty good about that. And for me, guys, what happened, during all these times, like I'm saying, I'm really trying to focus on the positive side and just try to get your mind away from it. So I had locked out big time, and my brother-in-law, my nephew, and my sister and my niece, the Nardis, along with my other sister Sass, her daughter Ava and Joey, they all live in New Jersey. And I love being around New Jersey. Obviously, as you guys know, it's where I was born and raised, and the food, the sports, there's just the weather, the sea, there's just a lot to be said about it. So, I was talking to Jenny earlier in the week, and in the beginning of the year, I was talking about trying to make it up for an Eagles game because I haven't been to one in so long, and I had the Cowboys Eagles game that just passed circled on the calendar. I never ended up getting it, right? But shout out to Miss Happy Cornell of Cornell Steel in New Jersey / Philadelphia. She sits in a little place called the Touchdown Club, which I'm still going to put up an Instagram post today, just kind of give you guys an idea of what I was blessed with. But I had gotten a free ticket to go to this Eagles game, right? On top of on Saturday afternoon. So I got to Virginia on Friday. I was gonna go to Philly for the fucking Phillies NLDS game 4 closeout game in Philadelphia. 2:07 start time against our dreaded rival Braves. Um, never been to a playoff baseball game. So I was talking to Bob and Bobby earlier in the week, and Bobby was going with 2 of his buddies, and me and my nephew Bobby, we are like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, we are super tight. And I always told him like, yeah, I got my uncle Eric, who's I'm super tight with, but I've never really had like that relationship where you grow up with like an uncle when I was a young uncle when I started. I think when Joey was born, my first nephew, I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. And then I've always just tried to be the funny, loving, caring uncle that's just always been in these kids' lives. And I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys can attest for me and let the listeners know, but I think each one of those 4 kids I have an extremely special relationship with. And I'm about to be an uncle to baby number 5. I'm going to be the godfather. They're naming him Michael Francis. So, I love creating good relationships with family members, especially young kids. And if you feel like you can be a positive impact in their life, or Bobby, I'm not gonna act like I'm like some role model for him, but every time we're together, we just have such a good time. Like we sat at this Phillies game together, guys, and Jenny had picked me up from the train station because what I did was I got to Virginia at 4 o'clock at night on Friday night. Literally got here, packed a bag for New Jersey. Uh, was there a football game on Friday night or some kind of baseball game? And we were watching something. Went to bed, woke up at 5:30 a.m. Took a train out at 6. Got there at 11:48. Jenny picked me up, drove like 2 miles, dropped us right off at the bank. The bank being Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies play. For those of you who don't know, and man, just literally getting into that stadium, guys, and like if you're not from this area, it's kind of hard to equate and kind of explain. But you're walking the streets, you're downtown South. I mean, you're just everybody you see is in Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers gear, and you just walk by people. And I'm the kind of person, let's fucking go, and just high fiving everybody on the street. Bobby and I get to the stadium right when it opens, so we're there about 2 hours before first pitch, and we're just doing laps around the stadium. All the concessions, just looking, just talking, having fun, talking to other fans, just really living up the experience for me. Because I haven't been to a Phillies game, and I'll say probably 8 to 10 years. Let alone I've never been to a Phillies playoff game. I was there 2007, 2008 when they were making the run. I was there for a couple late September games, but never got to be in the the scene, like in the park for that playoff scene. And it is everything. I don't know if you guys are watching it, but it's everything you hear on TV. I mean, it was ridiculous. Seating arrangements pretty incredible. We were out in right field, 6 rows up. So it was, I mean, I've been to baseball games 10, 15 times, and I most of the time I sat in different seats. These were my favorite seats I ever sat in. For the Phillies fans who were watching, our boy Brandon Marsh hit the home run. It was like literally 2 seats over or 4 seats over to the left of me. And then when one of the Braves hit a solo, I don't know if it was Darno or someone hit a solo home run. One of the guys next to us, like 5, 6 seats, caught it, threw it back. So we were right in the middle of the action. When JT Realmuto hit his inside the park home run, it went, right center fieldish. We watched the ball drop. We had a perfect view of the bait. I mean, it was just fucking amazing. We ended up sitting next to 5 or 6 of the guys who are left were St. Joe's, St. Joe's University baseball players. So, you get a little bit of inside baseball. These kids caught there and like I think the bottom of the first inning, they literally ran right from practice. They were out of breath. They were sweating. And, just me, the Philly sports thing is enough commonality right there just to make friends with everybody. So I was 2 guys behind me, 3 people in front of me, and then the 4 dudes that left of me. We were all just going nuts. I mean, every single time the Phillies would get a huge hit or something, we were shoulder and shoulder, me and those 2 guys, and the Bobby on my right. We were jumping, singing, punching each other, going. I mean, it was the most electric sports environment I've ever been in by far. There was a big meathead in front of me, nice jacked guy with a good little stature. Every time the Phillies would have a big at bat, I was up there massaging his back, just trying to get us hype. His girlfriend was just going wild. I mean, it was incredible, man. I mean, the game didn't. You guys were. I don't know if you saw it, but baseball can sometimes be a little bit low scoring. Some people might say boring. Just for an example, there was a playoff game in the American League the other night. Went to 17 innings. It was a 1-0 game. So you're virtually sitting for 2 full baseball. I mean, one game's 9 innings. Virtually sitting through 2 full baseball games with 1 run. That's hard to do. I mean, I'll be honest. If the Phillies weren't able to get 13 runs and 8 hits, it might have been, or 13 hits and 8 runs, it might have been a little different story as far as how fun it was for me. But holy shit, that place was so electric. After they ended up winning, we stayed there for probably 45 minutes after the fact, and barely anybody had left. Which brings me to my next point. This is just the Phillies sports weekend from heaven because I got to go to the Phillies game on Saturday, wake up Sunday, go to Manhattan Bagel, watch a little bit of football. Oh, and Saturday night also, I should mention, came home from the baseball game, had a nice little bonfire outside with my brother-in-law's family, his sister, his parents, who I freaking love his parents. We had cheesesteaks, we had hoagies, we had pizza, I mean, this is the all-American Jersey getaway right here. So doing all that, and I was in touch with my buddy Sharif. He came over. We were chilling for about 4 hours, just watching baseball. Watching the Yankees Guardians game, watching a little bit of the Dodgers Padres. He brought over some of that legal Jersey corn. And for those of you who don't know, I'm weird as shit, and I call everything something other. Like Fred Corn is my alter ego on Xbox. So corn can be a multitude of things, guys. It can be you want to eat some good meat and you say, I'm eating some good corn. You want to get some really good weed. I just found some really good corn. Um, we have a little group chat, me, my friend Jason, who you guys have seen on the pod, Sharif, who you've seen on the pod, and then my brother Kurt. And when Brandon Marsh hit the home run, they all knew where I was sitting. And Sharif was like, wow, that ball is right in Fred's cornfield. So just a little bit of inside baseball stuff like that on how weird we are. But he brought over some of this Jersey corn, and my God, it was absolutely phenomenal. And I was really thinking, I'm like, okay, so I'm taking the train to New Jersey, excuse me, from Virginia to Philly, and then Philly back to Virginia. And I was talking to some people about bringing back some of that Jersey corn, and it was funny. My sister or my brother-in-law was on the phone with his brother, and he was talking about how I was trying to transport some of the stuff, and right away, just as deep was like, "Watch the dogs." So yesterday morning, travel anxiety is something I deal with all the time, and not having my handy dandy bidet with me on the road right now, it makes for some interesting times. And not to mention, guys, at this, I let me go back real quick, cover the Eagles game. So I sat in this touchdown club. I was all alone, 50-yard line, 5 rows up. To be honest, a little bit lower, so it's kind of hard to see from bird's eye and kind of see everything that's developing in the on the field. And you can't really see the receivers making their route breaks, and it's challenging. It was the closest I've ever been in a football game, so I'm not complaining. But what this game also entailed was You pretty much like you're all the way down section 5. And like I said, I'm gonna put these videos on my Instagram. And then you go up to the concessions, where the concourse and everything like that. Then you go down another flight of stairs and you just literally go into like heaven. I mean, this place, you walk down, you got a wristband on, probably about 100 flat screen TVs with the game on down there. You got Merrill Reese piped in the background doing the play-by-play from the radio. For those of you who don't know, Merrill Reese is a legendary Philadelphia sports commentator for the Eagles on 94 WIP radio station. So you go down there and if you guys know me, I mean, not only did I smuggle my little weed pen into the stadium, so I'm smoking that, I'm getting a nice little buzz on, but I'm fucking developing the munchies, right? So, man, there's just so much to cover with the tailgate. I can't possibly get into it all right now, but the tailgate, we were eating like kings. Bob backed his car right up to a curb. So you back your car up to the curb, and you got the curb and the grass behind you to work with. This man's got the fucking piss tent now, which is from the future, man. If you guys have ever been tailgating, you're drinking water, you're drinking beer, you're drinking liquor, whatever, you got to pee, and me, man, I'm literally the Lord of prostate. I drink like right now, I got to piss so fucking bad. But at the tailgate, I was drinking some of my tequila. I was drinking so much fucking water because when I drink alcohol, like I make it known that I'm not going to be that guy that's going to be drunk at the game and missing action. So yeah, I drank probably 3 32-ounce or 30-ounce Yetis full of tequila with some 7-Up. Shout out 7-Up. Haven't had you in a while. You're not that much different than Sprite, believe it or not. So I'm going like crazy, instead of having to go to these fucking porta potties and wait in line and smell that nasty sewage. Bob's got this thing where it's a tent for privacy. So you put the tent up, you erect the tent. And by erecting, I mean, like, it's literally no work. It's you stand it up, you put the pins in the ground to hold it down, you open it, you go inside. Inside, he's got a 5-gallon Home Depot, full circle with the way I was showering. The 5-gallon Home Depot bucket with a trash bag inside to be the liner. And then he puts his like rabbit kibble, I don't know what it's called, rabbit litter to kind of absorb all the urine. So absolutely genius. We're all using that. I probably used it 15 to 18 times. Unbelievable. And then, we had some attractive young Philadelphia girl fans coming in asking for it. Bob never said no to anybody, but what I was thinking, I was kind of just workshopping ideas. I had a little bit of a buzz on. So I'm just going up to people when they're coming up and I'm like, just be honest. Like, I'm not charging right now, but would you pay for this service? And like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, instead of having to go to a porta potty, would you be willing to throw, $1, $2, $5 to be able to use this tent that it smells like a Christmas tree because of Bob's little stuff he puts in there? And he kept saying to the girls, does it smell like a Christmas tree or what? It was fucking hilarious. But not only does he have the bucket, he has a toilet seat for the ladies. He's got toilet paper. I mean, it's very amazing. So what I told Bob was like, Bob, you got to print out on a label maker your Venmo name and put it on the front of the tent and just write tips are appreciated. I guarantee you're going to make your money back on that tent in 2 to 3 Eagles games. So, I mean, we had the buffalo chicken dip. We had the Tostito scoops. We had the cheddar and sour cream chips. He had a frozen pizza that we did on a flat top. We had ribs. I mean, we had hoagies from an amazing deli called Pal Joey's in New Jersey. And that was, we got a corned beef special, a ham and cheese, and an Italian hoagie. The amount of food I ate, like I ate fucking 3 bagels that morning from Manhattan Bagel. I probably had about 4 squares of hoagies that big. So Carb City population 1. Then I went into the touchdown club, about 4 minutes into the half left, 4 minutes into the second or the first half, second quarter. It's about 4 minutes left. The 6 people I was sitting with who I didn't know at all, they're like, come with us. So I just followed them. I go down to this place and I can't wait to put these videos up and show you guys. Like, you go down and you just, like I said, you're not missing the game at all. And it's kind of a trap because you know how much food is at games. You go down here and it's already included with the fucking ticket. So off the top of my head, you get in line. You got crab fries, you got boneless chicken nuggets, you got boneless buffalo nuggets, both with different sauces. One had blue cheese and ranch, one had honey mustard. From there, you had little fried crab cake balls, which were literally probably the best thing on the menu there. You move it down, you had loaded mashed potatoes, you had mac and cheese, you had pulled pork, you had Texas style brisket sandwiches that were humongous. The smoked ribs. They had a cheesesteak flat iron that you could get full size cheesesteaks ready to order with whatever you wanted on them. They had hoagies, they had sushi, they had chicken and waffle cones where they have chicken breasts with a piece of a waffle inside of a waffle cone. I'm not big on that, but all my southern friends, it's something you guys are into, that chicken and waffle stuff. There's sushi, there's ice cream, there's fucking pizza. I mean, you wouldn't believe the spread. And not to mention, everything's free. So I'm wearing this jacket right here, and this jacket's got these two pockets down here that are massive. You know, you put your hands in there, it's like a little hand warmer. I pilfered like 4 or 5 water bottles to bring back to my seat because, you know, the prostate plus the drinking is not a great combination for watching live sports. That's kind of why I prefer watching them at home, to be honest. But this was an opportunity, you know, to be a part of this Philly sports weekend for one. There was literally one for the ages. I wasn't gonna miss it, you know. And Eagles end up winning, beat the fucking Cowboys, which is awesome. You know, the stadium was rocking, amazing atmosphere. But I gotta say, guys, I'm obviously a bigger football fan than baseball fan, but that playoff baseball atmosphere. Now, I've never been to an Eagles playoff game, so that's probably a whole nother animal. But yeah, it was ridiculous. So, you know, we're getting back. I wake up, you know, the day after Sunday. Sunday we were able to go right before the 1 o'clock games, go to a Versus Bakery, which is like one of the best Italian bakeries in my opinion, right? So go get that, get some stuff. Had some cheesesteak egg rolls, some apple tarts, some donuts, some eclairs, some cannolis. Yeah, definitely not in the healthiest spurt of my life right now, but when it rains it pours, right? So just brought back a small little amount, just a little eighth, you know. So I'm standing in line waiting. The train gets pushed back 35 minutes, and I just start getting that feeling in my stomach. I'm like, fuck. I'm standing against the wall, and you know, sure do you know, I see a little canine dog trotting my way. You know, his little making his little steps, sauntering over to me, and I'm just like, fuck off. He walks by, nothing. But you know, I start noticing I'm getting some looks from other people, and I'm like, this is probably why I shouldn't have smoked before this, because now you're getting a little bit of that paranoia seeping in. And I'm just looking around, checking my surroundings. I'm like, what? I see another fucking dog. You know, the first dog was the yellow lab. Okay. Next dog, Belgian Malinois. Belgian Malinois' handler is this big, tatted South Jersey greaseball who was just scary as fuck. Bald head, tattoos, tactical man. You know, and he's making the laps. He's just walking around. I'm like, is he sniffing for bombs or is he sniffing for fucking marijuana that is legal here now? You know, and I had the same kind of intrepidation with going into the Phillies of Eagles game with the weed pen, and everyone's like, "Oh, you'll be fine." I'm like, but do I want to be that guy that gets kicked out for a fucking stupid weed pen? But it's legal here. Everybody else is doing it, you know. So Phillies game, I forewent the weed pen. Eagles game, I did not. I brought it in with success. So train ride back, you know, after that Belgian Malinois passes me, I'm like, all right, we're good. And now you're just thinking, you know, because in Philly, they open the little gates and you go downstairs. So I'm like, all right, is there going to be some kind of metal detector or something? Because you know, you just don't want to be faced with any of these issues. You're just trying to, and I'm already suffer so much from like that travel anxiety where I just get so many pains in my stomach. I get all these nervous thoughts, and so yeah, the last thing you want is a Belgian Malinois circling your boy. But got on the train, and granted, the train ride fucking sucked. Down here it was smooth, just one way, easy stops. You know, the conductor would announce, hey, we're here at Fredericksburg, and next stop is going to be Alexandria, about 25 minutes away. The ride back, I didn't get any kind of communication. I had no idea where we were. The only time they made an announcement was we had to stop for 45 minutes in DC for no reason. And then for about an hour, we were going 10 miles an hour behind another train that was going through maintenance. So um, definitely frustrating because, you know, you just want to get back home in parentheses or quotes, whatever you want to say, because I don't have a home right now. So between bouncing between, you know, and it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I hate to say it, but you get to spend time with family. And like I said, I'm just trying to find the silver lining in every little part of this whole disaster right now. Um, so you know, I started off getting to come down and see my sister Jill, who's honestly like my best friend. Just seeing her just makes me so happy. And her husband Mike is my fucking boy. He's obviously my brother-in-law, but I've considered him my brother for 6, 7 years now. It's been, I mean, we're super tight. The guy got me into fucking MMA, dude. So without him, I would still never be watching UFC. I would have never gotten into jiu-jitsu. So, you know, just learning from different people, their interests, trying to get people into stuff. Like I just got my sister Jenny into Kerrygold butter. Last time I was there, I got her into bidet. Did a nice little tray with my nephew Bobby. You know, this thing doesn't fit him anymore. This fucking fresh ass Eagle salute the service that I already had the matching hat for. So I gave him a little pack of mint chill flushable dude wipes, and he was ecstatic. And you know, I've gotten him into the Manscaped ball deodorant. He's got me into the fucking Dr. Squatch soap and deodorant. So having a young nephew who really cares about sanitation and hygiene, it's a blessing. So, Bobby, I'm gonna bless you with a really amazing birthday gift this year, and I know you're gonna love it, buddy. Um, yeah, so I got home, got to smoke some of that medicinal herb last night out of the home field bong. Because for those of you who don't know, when I go to New Jersey and I stay with my sister Jenny's, I got tired of smoking out of like she has like this little like silicone dinosaur bowl, and I'm like, yo, I ain't fucking smoking out of silicone with this crazy high grade weed. So I went to a head shop the last time I was there, bought her a bong, and just we kind of keep it there, just for when Uncle Freddie comes back to town. He's got something to toke on. Taught her how to do the rubbing alcohol and salt. You know, they got a new bunny in their life there, so they got two bunnies in the house now, and just a great weekend, man. Got to be a part of a legendary sports weekend. Recording this on a Tuesday morning, gonna put it up tonight. The Phillies got NLCS starting tonight. The Flyers are on the night. The Sixers got the game opening. They're opening the season night in Boston. So yeah, there's not really a better time, in my opinion, to be a Philly sports fan than right now. We got all four teams playing, all four teams, aside from the Flyers. They're 2-0, but we're not really making much of that yet. I mean, I'm certainly not going to overreact, but the Phillies, I mean, they look like they have a legitimate shot to really make some noise these playoffs. I mean, already eliminating the Cardinals and the Braves, two high pedigreed franchises. Um, avoiding to have to play the Dodgers in this round instead of playing the Padres. That's a little bit of a, the Padres are no joke, but they're not the 111 win Dodgers. And then Eagles being the only undefeated team. So definitely going to try to get a Philly sports podcast going this week. Maybe in person, because I'm going to be in New Jersey with my boys, Sharif and Jason, and might actually be reuniting with the former co-host of the pod, Mike Penn. Maybe get him on for a guest appearance and just talk on air about what happened. I don't think it'll be fun. Um, but yeah, man, just each day, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to come up. Not really sure when I'm heading back to Florida because as of right now, like I said, it's Tuesday. Thursday morning, I'm getting back on the Amtrak, going back to New Jersey, getting there Thursday morning. Friday night, I'm going to fucking the NLCS game 3, first game in Philly for the NLCS. So it's going to be unbelievably electric. It's going to be me, my nephew Bobby, his dad Bob, and my brother-in-law, and then his dad Bob. So I'm going with three generations of Bob Nardis, and then me. So can't wait. At the Phillies game, I also ran into my sister Sass and my nephew Ava. Just getting to see them was extremely euphoric. So I'm hoping I'll get to see them again next week when I'm in town. There's a little fart. Yeah, just I love New Jersey, and I've can't lie, I've definitely had a lot of thoughts about moving back to this area. So, you know, it's there's a lot of moving parts with that. Obviously, I got a good job in Florida. I really like my boss. I just actually got promoted. I was assistant, for the first 9, 10, 11 months, just learning how to do everything, kind of running the truck, but having him there to kind of support me on, Thursdays and Fridays. Now it's going to turn into once we get, because unfortunately, my neighbor suffered some severe losses with the hurricane. Both of his trucks got destroyed. So we're in a big waiting pattern right now. And, I'm hoping to get back there and start slinging tools again just to get back to some normalcy. But yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say there weren't thoughts of me moving back to the Northeast, landing back in New Jersey, and just being in this area. It's just tough when you live like with someone like me. I'm extremely family oriented. It's like the most important thing in the world to me is family between my nieces and nephews, my brothers and sisters, and my parents. It just stinks having to be away from them all and then kind of pick and choose who you're going to see. Like when I come up to Virginia, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go to New Jersey, but then I'm leaving my sister and my parents and my brother-in-law Mike, and like I hate leaving them, but then I get to go see my other sisters and my other nieces and nephews and my other brother-in-law, and like, but then I'm away from Kurt, and so it sucks. So you just try to figure out what's best for you and go day by day. And I'm not gonna make any rash decisions. It's something I'm thinking long and hard about each day, and looking for potential employment in New Jersey and potential living spaces because I just the Florida thing is so in the air right now. And we've never been faced with this situation where you got FEMA trying to come in and tell you what's going to be covered and what's not, and not knowing how long you're going to be back in your house for. And like, I'm not trying to do the whole woe is me thing here, but I just would never wish this on anybody. Like living out of bags and suitcases every day. Like there's been so many times where I've had breakdowns because you're putting stuff in one bag and you're putting it back in another, and you can't find like deodorant or my ball deodorant for my little nut sack for from Manscaped, like little things like that, shaving cream, razors, like the things that you use, and not to mention I got fucking 100 pairs of shoes, and you can only it's just so many little things that you don't think of, and then when you're faced with something like this, so I'm hoping this is going to give me a little bit more of a better perspective on life and not be such a first world little fucking brat and start appreciating, running water and electricity and power and just the family, family. Um, Without my brother Kurt and my sister Jill and my sister Jenny and my sister Sass, like I don't know where me and my parents would be right now. We'd be just it's scary and depressing to even think about what you'd be faced with, and I'm doing a pretty good job not crying here. And the minute I start feeling a little bit emotional, guys, verbal garbage first. We're gonna smoke the weed pen on air. Weather's cold, it's a little frozen. There we are. So yeah, I'm really gonna try to get back on track with these podcasts. I miss doing them. Trust me, this has like become one of my favorite things to do. And the people that have reached out via Reddit or Instagram, whoever, some of my listeners that don't know me in real life, um, I really appreciate you reaching out, seeing how I'm doing, seeing where I'm at, and just know this is something I definitely have a focus on, and it never escaped me to get back on here and do this. Like I knew it was going to be a thing, just a matter of time. And like I got my inflatable twin mattress folded up right here, and I moved this chair all the way back from over there just so I could kind of get some semblance of a recording going. And the minute I get to set up, it's funny because like I feel like, oh, this is doable for a studio, but then I'll be heading back to New Jersey in 2 days, and then I'll be there for 4 or 5 days, and I'll be coming back here for a few days, and I think I'm gonna be heading back to Florida after that, um, temporarily or permanently. I don't know. I mean, the plan right now is to live with my brother and his girlfriend for a little bit, but that's not exactly like crystal clear because her parents are coming back from Germany middle of December, early December. So, the room I'd be staying in while the parents are away is the room they'll be taking when they come back. So, yeah, I mean, the more I talk about it, it's definitely a little bit of panic and just not knowing what's going on. So, I don't want to say pray for me, but just keep me in your thoughts, guys. And I don't think people understand like how much just a mental warfare or a mental welfare check means for me. Just hey, everything all good. Like just having my two best friends for my whole life reaching out to me, even though we're so far away. And you know what they say with that whole bullshit, like friends are like stars. Like you might not always see them, but they're there. And like between Sharif and Maddie and Brian, like those are three people that are just so important in my life, and it just means so much to hear from them and tell them whatever I need to let them know. And I just appreciate it so much. And, Sharif gets done work and drives over to hang out with me late at night when he's got to work the next day. So that was huge. And yeah, I mean, just send the positive vibes out there from my parents. My dad's definitely been very negative on this whole thing and very glass half empty. So we're just trying to get his spirits to be a little bit more chipper and positive, trying to emulate a little bit more of my style. So there's just so many other things I can go with this. Like, all the stuff we lost, I was trying to make jokes of it because, like, me and my mom would go home and fucking look in the fridge and I'll be like, oh my God, my Kerrygold butter. Um, one thing, you see it right behind me. It's not mine, it's my sister's. But the last thing I did in the house in Florida was I went in, took my little screwdriver, removed the screen from my Peloton, and fucking got in my little back tight situation like I'm weightlifting, lifted it on the bed, and somehow the Peloton was saved. My smoker saved. So, you just find little things here and there. Like my Instapot still works. My rice cooker doesn't. My Hamilton Beach flat top grill doesn't. But these are things that you can replace. But yeah, it still doesn't really feel real like not having a house to live in and, not having a job. And it's crazy. So, I mean, I have a job because I've still been talking to all my customers and still been talking to my boss. I actually went out the day before I left for Virginia last week and dropped off a new scanner, a diagnostic scanner to one of my customers. And, they didn't have power or Wi Fi yet. So I had to go into the Goodyear next door, set up get on their Wi-Fi and do all the updates on there. Brought it back over to him, and just providing that excellent customer service like I'm used to doing. It felt good. It just gave me a little. I keep talking about that sense of normalcy. It gave me a little bit of that normalcy where I was driving around and seeing all the other stops, and I kind of wanted to stop into them just to feel like I was working again. But yeah, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know where I'm going to be living. I don't know where I'm going to be at. I've had a couple of my jiu-jitsu buddies reach out to me, and shout out to Guillotine Mike, by the way. I forgot to shout you out, buddy. You came over and helped me out. Michael from the brown belt from Brock's gym reached out to me. Just some guys, man, that like I said, just a hey, how you doing? I heard about what happened. Like it to me, like it takes no effort to do that, and the impact that it makes on me and how it makes me feel, just to know that I have friends that care is a really reassuring feeling. So I just want to thank anyone who has reached out to me and or thought about us or my parents, and we love you guys. We're doing the best we can, and I'll be at the NLCS on Friday rooting on the Phillies, and then I'll be there Monday night at Wells Fargo rooting on the Sixers. And to me, that's like the best escape possible for me is just getting out and living up that Philadelphia sports scene, because it's probably my favorite thing in the world is Philly sports, other than family. So when you get to combine those two together and have them all be one, it's pretty magical. So um, I still have a couple guest episodes that were recorded a few weeks before the hurricane or a week before the hurricane that I'll end up releasing on Friday, and try to get back to this Friday Monday thing that I was doing, the solo for Mondays and the guest Fridays. But obviously I've had some shit going on, so doing the best I can to trickle it all out. But thank you all for listening, and keep sharing, keep subscribing, and keep letting people know, guys, because this is something I still really want to do and I have a lot of fun with. It's just been tumultuous time right now. I'm trying to work through. So let's say this is potentially the longest episode in VG solo history, and we're gonna end it there. And thank you guys so much. And I'll talk to you soon, and you'll hear from me soon. All right. Thanks, guys.